So in this video, I'm going to be going over my top 11 favorite Star Wars action figures for 2022. I went with 11 because the 10th one, I had a hard time choosing between one or the other for that 10th spot. And I didn't want to include it as an honorable mention because I feel like that's a tier down from being in the top few. So I figure I'll just do a top 11 for this video. So for my criteria, I'm including Hot Toys or 6 scale, vintage collection, Black Series, anything in those lines that help define 2022. I think a few of them may have been released towards the end of 21, but I imagine most people probably didn't get them until 22, so I will include those in this list as well. And I'll start off here with figure number 11, which is the only Black Series action figure I'm featuring in this video, and I went with Fennec Shand. I think she's one of the best Black Series action figures from 22, and it's just a really cool action figure. It has very unique tooling. I don't think this tooling has been used for any other Black Series action figure at this point, and if we know anything about the Black Series, it doesn't get a whole lot of new tooling these days, so the fact we got basically an entirely newly tooled action figure from the ground up with no reused parts of any kind that I'm aware of is an incredible thing for this day and age. And personally to me, there's you have the TVC action figure, which I'll admit I was kind of disappointed by it. I think the legs on it were a little clunky. It has an awkward stance, and I think in the face it doesn't quite look as good as the Black Series one here. The Hot Toys one is around the corner. It should be getting released here in 2023, hopefully. I do have that one on pre-order. I'm sure that's going to blow it out of the water between the 3 scales. But for the time being, at the time of this video, I think the Black Series Fennec Shand is the far superior one between the TVC and this one. And just something unique to add to the Black Series collection. The helmet could be a little bit better. Obviously, if you put this on, you would think that Fennec would be able to look out, and if you try finagling with it a little bit, it doesn't really work out so well. Not a big deal, though. Most of the time I display her without the helmet on anyway, so it's alright. But overall, I think she's probably the best action figure for the Black Series of 2022, and she's one of my personal favorites that came out this year. Number 10 on my list is the Stormtrooper Commander from the TVC line. Really like this action figure. Stormtrooper Commander is one of my favorite Stormtrooper designs in Star Wars in general, and I think it's really neat that 14 years at this point since The Force Unleashed, we're still getting Force Unleashed action figures. And compared to the original Stormtrooper Commander we got around 2008, 2009, this one's definitely a great improvement. The only complaint I have about it is the pegs in his feet here, and for this particular Stormtrooper tooling in general, they're just not very good. You can't really put stands on these. I know some people say you can clip off a little bit of a peg and then it'll fit, and some people might say drill the hole a little deeper. Well, if you do that, you'll actually go through his foot because he doesn't have a whole lot of room there to work with. So that's one disappointing thing about this new Stormtrooper mold with the rocker ankles that I have, is you just can't really fit a stand very well on it. Other than that, it looks really nice. It's something I would recommend for anybody's collection, especially if you're into troopers at all. But other than that, it's just a basic TVC action figure. Nothing too new and unique about it. Some people do collect these as like a 501st Stormtrooper, and if you get a whole army of that, you could definitely make that believable. I have 2 of these, and then plus one of the originals that came out about 14 years ago at this point. But I would recommend having one for your collection, and that this makes figure number 10 for the year for me. Number 9, I'm going to give to one of the Battlefront 2 ARC Troopers, and I really like this one. Between the Umbra Operative, the Lambert Seeker, and this one, I actually like this one the best. I think the colors are the most realistic on it. It has that dark red, rusty red color The other two look a little too cartoony for me. The Umbra Operative is as neat of a concept that is, it just doesn't look right as an action figure, and to me that's probably my least favorite of the three that were released in that wave. The Lambert Seeker is pretty good. I've mentioned in the review I have in my channel that I have a defect of it for the helmet, so that was a little bit disappointing, but this one turned out perfect. This is actually my Tungori action figure that I got for him, and it turned out to be the best one of them all, actually. But it's a great design overall. At this point now we have Colt, Havoc, and Blitz announced in this mold game released as well, and at this point I'm getting kind of sick of ARC Troopers. Never would have thought we'd get this many ARC Troopers in a Star Wars action figure line in general. I know some people can't get enough of them, but after a while we're going to have an entire army of ARC Troopers and not so many plain regular clones anymore. And it's getting kind of old having all these specialty troopers. It'd be nice just to go back to the basics, which we are looking to get a basic Phase 2, newly tooled Phase 2 clone here really soon. Pictures are starting to circulate for that. Looks pretty good. But overall, it's a decently tooled action figure. I really like this. I like the color design, and it fits as number 9 for action figure of the year for me. Number 8, I'm going to give to the Death Watch Mandalorian. I really like this one. Out of all the Mandalorians we've gotten for the year, I think this one's the best one. The parts were very fluid for me. I liked how this turned out. Nothing feels like it's going to break. It feels like you could do something like this forever, and nothing feels fragile on it. And I like the design of his parts. I like how they did the jetpack. It looks to be in very good proportion. And I like the helmet as well, and the color scheme he has going on. And the best part about this that the deluxe Boba Fett that came out last year failed to do, and the Return of the Jedi Boba Fett failed to do, is the movable rangefinder. And it's a very fluid movement too. I've had some rangefinders on some Mandalorians that don't want to move at all, and it's just stuck there in place, and on clones as well. But this one's very fluid. And like I said, it's just a nice action figure overall. And between all the Maul Mandos we got and the Airborne Mando we got as well, this one's my favorite for the year. There is a Hot Toys one, which looks really nice as well. I don't have that one. I'm probably not going to get it because of space reasons, and I don't want to spend the money for that. The Black Series one looks really nice as well. I may potentially pick that one up eventually, if I find it for clearance possibly. But I think the TVC one is probably the best one out of all of them. And it fits as figure number 8 for me for the year. So figure number 7, I'm going to give to the re-release of Shae Vizsla. Yes, we did get Shae Vizsla back in 2011. But to me, I treat this as a whole new action figure because of this new head sculpt. It's really nice. Shae Vizsla is one of the more interesting characters that came out of the Old Republic video game, I think. And I'm glad that Hasbro has differentiated this re-release from the original. It gives some value to both of them, or collectors feel like they have to have both, and gives some variety to the two. Same character, but I think one's a slightly older Shae Vizsla, and the other one's maybe like a late teens, early 20s version of her with longer hair as well. But it's just a nice action figure. You look at figures like this and you realize what Hasbro used to do compared to what we get now in most cases. This would be considered, I'm surprised this wasn't considered a deluxe action figure. With the way Hasbro's going these days, the more accessories they're starting to add, it's deluxe territory. And probably the only reason why they didn't do it is because she was released before. But if she was an entirely new action figure, she probably would have been deluxe in today's world. And she was $16.99, so she's borderline deluxe prices. And they made her an online exclusive, unfortunately, unless you found her at places like Forbidden Planet or some local comic shops or places like that, for instance. But overall, it's a really nice action figure. It's nice that after 10 years, people are finally able to find Shea Vizsla for a decent price. One store I went into had an entire peg full of her, so I think at the time, around 2011, she was an online exclusive. I don't recall anyone finding her at stores. I think she was one of those last ones in the TBC line at the time that was just an online exclusive. But yeah, she ranks as figure number 7 for the year for me. So number 6, I'm giving to the TBC Darth Vader. I know this is going to be at the top of most people's list for 2022, and he's definitely up there. I really like him. He is kind of fragile in some ways, I think, and again, I have a hard time getting a peg on his foot there because of the rocker ankles, which is a little disappointing. But the two best things about this action figure is the fact he has the hilt that you can attach to his belt, which we haven't seen on Darth Vader since 2004, which I think that's really strange. And of course, the helmet is one of the best parts about this. One of the best Vader helmets we've ever gotten for any Star Wars action figure of any scale. And this Vader is going to hold up for many years to come. Great articulation. I'm glad that very nice that they included extra accessories as well, like this left-handed in a fist, and of course he has an open hand as well. And I think there may have been one more. There's 2 extra hands that came with this, I think. It's really nice for Hasbro to take the initiative to do that. I like how they did the shoulder armor here, where he has that cut there, where it allows for more mobility. And it's just a really nice Vader overall. If you don't have this one in your collection up till now, now's the time to invest in it. So Vader makes, or the Dark Times Darth Vader makes figure number 6 for the year for me. So figure number 5 for me is going to be the Hot Toys Mandalore Ahsoka Tano. This is the one I debated about including or not including on my list, and I thought, well, I can't not include this on the list, but I also want to include the other 10, so this is the one that technically makes the 11th. But it's a really great action figure. It's one of the best for 2022 easily. What I really like about, I haven't done a review on this one yet, but I will eventually. But just a few of the highlights about it: she does have the movable eyes, which is something that's unique to very few of the Hot Toys figures. Darth Maul can do that. I'm not sure about any others between this one and Maul. Those are the only ones I have that you can rotate the eyes around, and it just looks really nice overall. I'll give you a better look at it here. And something very innovative about it is you can see on her arms here, she has absolutely no joints that can be seen. They managed to hide the joints on those, and if you articulate her arm, you don't see any of that. So that's really cool. That's something I've never seen on an action figure before, and it makes me wonder about how action figures between 3 3/4 inch, 6 inch, and of course 6 scale, what the future of action figures will be. Will joints be hidden in the future for all action figures? This is one of the first ones I've seen that has that. So new innovation, and who knows what we'll see in the future. But it's really nice overall, like I said. Looks like how you would picture Ahsoka, and I would highly recommend her for your collection. And she makes figure number 5 for me for the year. So number 4, I'm giving to the Hot Toys Jango Fett here. Jango Fett's one of my favorite characters in general, so of course he's going to make towards the top of my list. There's a few things about this. He's very bulky, and he has a hard time standing. As you can see here, he's kind of leaning on his stand a little bit. But overall, it's really nice. He has a lot of accessories. It looks exactly like Tamora Morrison. And I like how I have him here holding his helmet and with his poncho on. Looks really nice. And he has a whole lot more accessories. I'll do a more in-depth review of this one eventually. And even down to the gauntlets, of course, his jetpack, and you can take this missile out, for instance. And even his helmet has a few special features about it. But overall, it's a really nice action figure. And one I would highly recommend for your collection from 2022. So this is figure number 4 for me. So number 3 I'm going to give to the Hot Toys Stormtrooper. I just got this a couple days ago, one of the like December 29th, December 30th. And I've always wanted a Stormtrooper for my Hot Toys collection, and I figured this would be a good first one to get. I've debated between this one or the Artillery Stormtrooper, and I might still get that Artillery Stormtrooper eventually. I wanted to get a basic one first, and I'm glad I got this one. It's really nice. Hot Toys does a really good job with their Stormtroopers. As you can see here, it has a lot of scuffs in his armor. He's seen some action. And he has a lot of good accessories with him. Of course, he has the E11, and then he has this extra rifle as well, which has a strap you can put around him. Not sure if you can turn this into a regular Stormtrooper or not. I would assume you'd be able to take off his pauldron here. Well, it looks really nice. One of the most accurate Stormtroopers I've ever seen for an action figure. And I like this one better than the TVC or any of the Black Series ones. And he's also one of the more affordable Hot Toys action figures. If you're on a budget and you really want one for your collection, this is one I would recommend. I got this one on the buy one get one half off sale that Hot Toys or Sideshow was doing over the last month, and I got this one for like 110 along with the other one that I'll show you here in a minute as well. But if you're on a budget and you really want a Hot Toys figure for your collection and you don't want to pay a fortune for one, this is one I would recommend. No one can ever complain about having a Stormtrooper for their collection, and he can fit with just about any display. So for me, he fits as action figure number 3 for the year. So number 2 I'm giving to Captain Rex and his Phase 2 armor. The reason why this rates so high on my list is, at first when Rex I think has been out since 2021 technically, or that's when he started getting released, and I just didn't get this till recently. But I think most people didn't get it until 22, so that's why I'm including him on this list. But originally when we saw the promo pictures of him and that Sideshow has on their website, something looked really off about it, about Rex. His helmet looked off, his armor didn't look right, and his comma for some reason didn't look right to me either. So I thought, well, maybe this is not going to be one of Hot Toys' best efforts. So I got Commander Cody instead. This was back in 21 when I first saw Rex, and at the time I was like, well, I'll get Cody instead because I want to have a clone for the collection, and Cody looks better. Glad I have Cody. He's definitely one of the favorites I have. I finally I started hearing better reviews about Rex and about how he looks more accurate in person, and indeed he does. The helmet I think looks spot on, which again on the pictures you see online it doesn't. But after having this in person, it's like, wow, this definitely looks spot on. The armor looks really good, and the comma he has, I think, looks really good too. Nothing like what you see in the pictures. So this one is probably going to go down as the one I'm most pleasantly surprised about for 2022. And if you don't have a clone for your collection or you're a fan of Rex, I would highly recommend him. He's probably the best Rex that we've gotten to date, for if you factor in all the action figures combined. TVC's been kind of disappointing with him. The Bad Batch one's okay, but I was just looking at that one again the other day, and I think Hasbro could have done a lot better with him. And of course we got the 2014 Black Series one that was re-released in TBC, and nobody likes that one at all. So hopefully at some point Hasbro gets around to doing a definitive Rex. The Black Series ones are okay, but they got their flaws too. So the Hot Toys one's definitely the best if you want a best of the best Rex for your collection. And I would highly recommend him, and he makes figure number 2 of the year for me. And number 1, I'm including Bo-Katan. I mentioned this in the review I just posted the other day for her. The first Hot Toys I've reviewed on the channel, and I think it's a really nice action figure. A lot of times Hot Toys doesn't get humans right for their figures, but this one they got spot on, and everything about it is perfect. I know, like I've mentioned in my review, some people complain about the elbows being single hinged, but I personally don't have a problem with it. I think the accessories, the detail in her more than makes up for anything in the articulation. The helmet is spot on. It looks really nice. It looks like a real helmet almost scaled down. The pouches are really nice. The holsters are nice. All the accessories she has are very nice. And when I got this, I thought, yeah, I knew this was the figure of the year for me as far as for 2022 between all the Star Wars scales combined. I would highly recommend her for your collection, especially if you're somewhat interested in Hot Toys. If you're on the fence with this one, I would still recommend her, even if you have a little bit of interest for her character. But to me, she's my personal favorite Star Wars action figure for 2022, and I'm glad I added her to the collection. So with that being said, I hope you enjoyed this list. I know some people are going to say, oh, why didn't you include this? Or why is this one ranked so low? But to me, I think Hot Toys is the winner here for Star Wars action figures for 2022. They've had a lot of great releases. They got a lot of great releases in the works over the next 2 years even. And I think they're going to be continuing that trend. And as we know, Hasbro, they've been getting kind of lazy with a lot of their releases. A lot of them are repacks. They're either boring action figures that nobody asked for, and just one disappointment after another. The prices are getting ridiculous for what you're getting. Again, Hot Toys is expensive as well, but I think for what you get for each action figure, the price is well worth it. And especially if you can jump on those sales, like the one I mentioned between the Rex and the Stormtrooper, buy one get one half off. So you can basically get 2 Hot Toys for oftentimes like the price of 1 deluxe. So if you look out for deals like that, and of course they have their rewards point systems where you could potentially get like $50 off each action figure you get. So I think for what you get for the prices they are is well worth it. But for Hasbro, I think a lot of them, they're price gouging on a lot of their figures. Sometimes you buy one action figure, and after the taxes and the shipping, it's like $50 almost. And it's like, is this really worth a $50 action figure? Most cases, it's not. So I think over the last year, the Sideshow has been coming out on top. Hasbro's been slacking. Hopefully they come around, but I don't really foresee Hasbro changing much over the next few years. It just seems like each year it just gets more and more disappointing for them. And then we've seen with the Return of the Jedi releases for the 40th anniversary this year, there doesn't seem to be a lot of excitement generated for it. And I can't think of anything that will be coming out anytime soon other than potentially the TBC HasLab again that will generate much excitement. And depending what they pick for a HasLab, that may be good or bad as well. We don't know. But with that being said, I hope you enjoyed this list. Stay tuned for more reviews in the future. I hope to continue pumping out videos for 2023. I hope to scale up the content as well, make it more interactive. Maybe throw out some poll suggestions every now and then to see what you guys think you might want to see in the future. And I thank you all for successful 2022. I've been very happy with how the channel's been going, and I hope it continues its success into 2023. So with that being said, stay tuned for more reviews in the future. There will be plenty more to come, And if you have not already, please like the video and subscribe to the channel. Greatly appreciate the support. Check out the Instagram link in the description as well. And thanks for watching.